Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Good to have you along. Jordan Woodruff. This episode brought to you by Studeville. And we're joined by head cross-country coach Wendy Landis. And good to have you along. We talked to you before the states and the regionals, but now we're past that. The season is over. And tell us what you thought.
We completely winded down last weekend. We took one girl to state. So we were able to take Gabby Alva to state. She's a sophomore, super young. New experience for her. It was fast. I can't. The whole entire state process was explained. The races were just so fast. Regionals went well. I thought our team had a really good showing. Our boys, we had those hopes that they were going to go in and run those times. But across the state, I can't say one regional had an advantage over the other because they were both really good. There's some great runners in the state of Oklahoma, but I think that we learned and adapted well, and we're still so young that we aren't graduating hardly any of those on the senior. We had one senior on the regional team, and the rest of them are super young. So next year, I think we'll be back and better than ever. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Your young team got some really good experience with this, and it's kind of, in a way, it sounds like they were thrown into the frying pan a little bit, right?
Yes, freshmen and sophomores being thrown against people that are like Mez Barth from Stillwater, for instance. He runs low 15s, if not, super close to almost 14s, and like the guys that won, state this year, the Haven kid from Mustang comes in and runs a 15:08 was his time exactly, and then Mez finishes 20 seconds later. And we had Adam who dipped down into the 16s as a freshman, and I think that was a pretty good showing. And I think that he knows now how to run it, and where they're falling off in their mid miles and how to train for it. And that taught us as a coaching staff kind of where to work on the most to get them to where they're having those negative splits every time.
Yeah, and we talk about experience in other sports, but I think running and figuring out how to pace yourself, who to pace yourself with, because you can't pace yourself with the guys running like that.
And they tried. I think
that's what they learn.
Yep.
And sometimes you realize that if I pace myself a certain way, maybe I can make the surge at the end, right?
And it's teaching them that you want to get a good start, but you don't have to stay up there with that first group. That you want your second mile to be better than your first, and you want that last one to be able to sustain the kick. And a lot of them were so apprehensive because they are so young about the fear of not being able to finish the race. And like even Gabby, she was like, I thought I was so strong my first and second mile, and she said, then I just got afraid. I got scared that I wasn't going to be able to stay within that last mile. And I was like, Gabby, you finished your second mile was under 12. I mean, she was running at such a good clip, and then she was like, I just fell off. She said, but I know what to do now. And so she would, it's almost like if she got a second chance to run it again that day, she would have had a different outcome. But it's that learning experience, and so I'm pretty excited about track even. So
and that leads us. Off-season cross-country, a lot of these kids will do some other stuff, but then it comes back soccer in the spring. They come to that, and they're kind of in those sports. Soccer, you're going to run a lot.
Absolutely.
And track, you're going to run a lot. And there's some distance stuff there. So really, these kids stay in pretty good shape.
And even when they go to the gym, Coach Estrada and Coach Birnbaum keep them running. I mean, even those that we lose out of cross country that go in there, they come back to track even in the same shape that they had. And we do have a lot of girls this year that are going to play soccer and run track, so they're going to kind of dual letter and dual roster to see what they can produce for both of us.
Yeah, so. And that leads you. You got them, you keep them in shape, and then you got summer, and then it kind of changes them, but. I know that's way far ahead, but you got a pretty good summer program to keep them active and make sure they're good.
We don't give them a week off. They go straight from the last day of school straight into some running club, and then we keep them busy the whole summer. And so a lot of them, I think, made those conscious decisions that they actually could. And I explained to them, a lot of them came to support Gabby, which was amazing that her teammates and stuff were there. But it's the difference between thinking you can and knowing you can. It's like the knowing and thinking. They know they can do it because they've produced it. They just don't think they can. They don't think they can keep up with, the kids from Edmond or Owasso. But we know they can. We've seen their times, and we know their abilities, but it's getting them to have that line where they can believe in themselves.
And it's amazing the mental aspect of running, especially cross-country, because, like you said, your time can be there, but you put that other person in front of you, and they just start fading away from you a little bit. you just naturally mentally want to give up.
Yeah.
Where if you keep going, and that could be the difference in getting a second or third place sometimes.
And it's just, and sometimes it comes down to those points, and getting them to understand that your place is your point, and getting them to, the lower you place, the lower your points are going to be, especially for a team. But like I said, we were so young on that boys team, having just our only senior, Diego, and then everybody else was a freshman and a sophomore. And so we even had, one kid come in late that ended up producing well. And now he's like, well, I think I'm going to run next year. So it's, it's the retention there of having 6 of the 7 of the boys back next year. And then, 50 other boys that we get to, kind of run the thing. And then Gabby comes back, JC's back. Avery's back, Kenley's back, and so the girls are all back as well. So Callie Jo was the only one, the senior, that we lost off of that regional team. So we're excited. I mean, we're already running still, so they didn't get a week off.
Right. Well, and you think Gabby at state, even that's the girls, and you got the boys division too, and you didn't have boys down there. What is an advantage of having somebody that's been able to go down there and see that? And, you can coach them all you want, but having somebody that can say, hey, here's what I learned, here's how we can do it. Does that make a difference?
It does. JC was able to pour back into Gabby. JC's surgery took her out for that season, and she's going to give it a go back at soccer because she's a soccer player and she's going to run some track. But JC being able to dump into Gabby that week of preparation kind of mentally helped her a little bit with the course and then getting her down there. But now Gabby has that ability to come and dump into those girls who have never seen it. And, Diego had been to state when he was at Frontier, so he was able to tell those boys, we want to get here. It's a great meet. And, I was fortunate. I wasn't the fastest kid on my team, but I was on a state team. We got to go all the time. And so I was like, you guys, this is the best meet ever. So just having the experience, and the meet doesn't change. The location stays the same in Oklahoma, and we always go to Edmond. And so having her knowing that course and running that course, I think that's going to help when we get Peyton coming up from junior high. And Peyton came and supported her. We have Bella coming up from junior high. Those girls coming into the program that Gabby can now dump back into.
Bring that up because courses, it makes a big difference what you play or what you run as far as the courses are concerned. Can you ever get on those courses outside the season, or do they put those pretty much?
I haven't really tried to do that. A lot of those coaches have a pre-state or a pre-regional meet that we go to, and so we get to see it at least once. Fortunately, the Owasso course, that's where Booker T hosts theirs as well. So sometimes we get to run it 2 or 3 times to regional, so we see it a lot. With the state course, if we get to go to the pre-state meet, if it works into our schedule, we see it once, maybe twice. But a lot of them just know, because once they ran it once, they put it to memory, and they make maybe little changes to it, but it's pretty much the same all the time. So Gabby knew, because we ran pre-state there the year before, so she kind of knew the course, so she wasn't completely lost. But it's nice to get to run it when we can.
No, running it's good, but then you add the other 50 contestants, and it changes things, right?
And that they do it so well in Edmond, and I commend their efforts to have that state meet. It's beautiful, and it's decorated. You can't get a better venue. I absolutely love that course, and I know some of my kids will actually argue with you, but it's actually the perfect running course. So.
Yeah. Well, cross-country season is now over, and like I said, we started talking a little bit about that, but like I said, for you'll keep them kind of going. They'll go to some other sports, but I guess the next big thing for you is kind of going to the track, right? So, and most of those kids have other things going, so I'm sure you're keeping up with those kids, all that, but you're waiting until those are over to really get them good.
To get back into it. And we, fortunately, between Coach Barron and I on the track, we didn't lose a ton. A lot. We lost, I think, out of our program, maybe 5 or 6 kids to winter sports. And so, even with the girls yesterday, I still ran 20 girls, on the track. And, granted, more come in as the semester hits, because I looked at the roster, and it looks to be even bigger than cross country. And so we'll probably have 150 kids in track this year.
And what are the distance events in high school track that kind of translate well with cross country?
Mile, 2 mile is as high as we can go there. And we have those mid distances of your 400s and your 800s. And we have a lot that'll kind of, they can pull out, the 800 race. And a lot of times our distance runners are our fastest 400 runners on the girls' side, not so much the boys' side, because we've got Avon and all them returning. But a lot of times we can throw in a good 4x4 especially the junior high level, but they're cross country kids. And so,
well, and I'm just thinking, you think about that mile and 2 mile, and you start looking at those posts in the cross country, and then you're thinking, okay, this kid may have a good chance to be a medalist in this.
Yeah, and that's how we we knew last year, like our Wesleys and our Adams and stuff like that, they were down in the fours in those miles, and they have goals now to try to get there this year. And it's teaching them that it's great when we can do it for 1, but we've got to do it for 3 and cross. And so it's teaching them how to pace themselves a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you want to add before we let you go?
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, I'm glad we had you. Glad we were able to make this work out. And once again, congratulations on success this year with cross country, and can't wait for next year.
Absolutely.
I want to say thanks to Chris behind the camera. This episode has been brought to you by Studeville. And until next time, Jordan Woodruff saying so long for Coach's Corner.